Okay, preparing for the final doorway for enlightenment. Just a quick recap. I had access to the final doorway early in my recovery, where the terror of the death of the ego arose. And it seemed like the first thought that came into mind, which I latched onto, was I don't want to cry in front of the other two people as I go through the door, because it seemed like tears were going to start bursting out of me if I was to face that terror of the death, annihilation of the ego. And and the thought went in, I latched onto the thought, and it seemed in the split second I latched onto the thought that uh, I did want to go into tears. The door shut. It was like suddenly there was no terror. It was like it almost felt like God said, "Okay, you're definitely not ready to go through. You want your ego more than you want God." So, and so I didn't have another chance at going through the door. And there was a gentleman who didn't want to go through the door because we all had the same experience simultaneously because of his son. He didn't want to leave his son behind. So yeah. So and I do think Hawkins, when he does his pain video, um, and he does all his videos on addiction, like he does one on food and all the things, going through emotional turmoil. It's all the same thing. To go through the feelings without trying to resist or use anything on them, and just go through them until they leave. So, sort of to be really brave and not back down and go through anything that arises. Um, and um, and I think his pain video when he went through an operation, I think it's one of my favorite ones because it was like, as they were cutting off his digits, his thumbs, he had to like surrender and experience it without any anesthetic. So that's like, and he was lifted by the angels. So that's very, very inspiring, that Hawkins was able to do that. And also, go through a number of addictions by going through the withdrawals. So my own experience is, yeah, that's every time I did the food addiction initially, and that was by going through the panic attacks. And I had to say to myself, because the panic attacks were so severe that my head was saying you've got to die and it will never end, the feeling. So it wasn't really a good option to my head. But then I said, I'm willing to die. I'm willing to die for God. And I was prepared because I was having these panic attacks about 3 a.m. in the night. I was waking up and then not being able to breathe and then binging on food to get through the trauma of it. So I said, okay, next time I wake up at 3 a.m., I'm going to sit on that chair next to my bed, put on a Hawkins DVD of the pain thing, I think it was, and I'm going to sit on the chair. And if I die of this not being able to breathe and suffocating to death feeling that I was getting, which is a panic attack, I said, I'm willing to die. Let it kill me. Or if it doesn't leave, I'll just sit there until it kills me. Fair enough. And I did that, and it was 15 to 20 minutes of the most gruesome horror. And then it left, and then that was a major victory. And I remember that's one of them. Um, Also going through my gout attacks because I was really inspired by Hawkins. He said, even physical pain is just I could understand it. It's just a belief. It's just a thought. It's a label, as he says in his pain video. So don't label it, and just be with the feeling 100%. It's not pain. It's not energy. Just be with the energy of it. And then it took 4 hours in the beginning when I'd sit through these horrific gout attacks. It's a bit like someone stabbed you in the foot with a knife as basically your feet swell up to double their size within a few minutes. The skin stretches and it's excruciating pain with the inflammation. So it would go from extreme localized like knife pain in my foot, and then after about 40 minutes, an hour, it would be more like it was not in the foot. It was more of a diffuse feeling, which was more manageable. And then maybe after 2 hours, it was getting bearable. And then after 4 hours, it was totally gone. And I could even walk for a few steps before it would come back, the pain. So I did that, and every time I had a gout attack, and what happened by just feeling it out, the gout attacks became less intense and less frequent. And eventually I was discharged from the clinic. The same happened with asthma. Um, uh, yeah, I would feel out the asthma attacks, and I was eventually discharged from a hospital asthma thing because you literally feel like you're suffocating to death, and so I was willing to suffocate to death, I guess. So I think that thing of all these mini things and not backing down, really having samurai type courage or what battlefield courage when these pains and agonies and panic attacks and suffocations and all kinds of horrific things come, horrific feelings, is to not label, not go into the story and just be willing to go through it. And some of them are horrifically intense, and some of them just go on for a long time. I remember sitting with exhaustion, with kidney failure. That went on for a few years. So, but you just do it every day as much as you can, and that passed. So it's I think all of these things are preparing you for when the extreme terror of the death of the ego arises, for me, not to latch onto a thought, because every time something happens, you're not to latch into the story and to experience it 100%. So when the last one comes, the terror of the death of the ego forever, it's just to go straight in, not to identify with any thought. The guidance I give is if you've got any attachments, work on them now. Like, oh no, I can't leave because of my pet canary, or I can't leave because of my elderly parents, or I can't leave because I've got an infant. I mean, if you can't leave because of those, that's fair enough. But probably you're not. I mean, my guess is you won't go through the doorway because you've still got attachments, so you're just not ready to jump through. So yeah, so I'll just stop there.